Hey, welcome back. I just have a quick update on the 750 STOL. I know it's been a while, so let me turn this around and show you what all we've got done here. All right, I think struts and jury struts had been on the last time. So what now I've done is I've added the Flaperons on both sides. And I got those all adjusted. That was an adventure. But you can see, when we move the stick, it moves all these control rods and moves the flaperons up and down. And then a bit of wiring here. I'll click on battery 2 and the master. And we'll hit the flaps. So the flaps moves that little motor, which in turn moves this. So that's flaps, oh, it's kind of neutralized. That's flaps up. And that's flaps down. And I've got right about 16 degrees of flaps. So it called for 15. And when I first installed, the best I could get was 19 to 20. And that's because in this motor, there is a limit switch that takes the motor on the inside. As you raise the flaps, there's a little switch inside that shuts off power to the motor. And when you lower the flaps, it shuts off power to the motor. And that limit switch was letting this shaft go out, probably only about 5 to 8 millimeters too far. And that is enough movement to make this angle from 15 degrees to about 19 degrees. So I had to take this flap motor apart, and it's, about 8 screws. You can't really... Let me turn around where we can see them here. But they are T15 screws. So let's see. Get down in here. Maybe. Nope. Maybe there. Yeah, you can see there's 2 on the front. And then there's like 5 more underneath. So you take that apart, and there are these little limit switches on wafers that are held in by a couple little tabs. And so what you have to do is take it all apart and Dremel out a new indent for it to fit in the tabs. And I just moved it about 5 millimeters, and now I've got the right amount of flaperons. And the big thing is that when the flaps are down, at full deflection, I don't quite touch the bottom of the banana slot. And I have extended that banana slot quite a bit. I would say right up to about the limit what you can do. And I may actually add one more rivet in here since, this one is real close. It just holds on a cover. It's not a structural thing right there, but I'll probably add a rivet or 2 in there since they're a little close on having enough edge distance. So anyway, that has taken quite a while, but it's finally done. I got new elevator cables from Zenith, so I'm gonna install those, and I've had the rudder cables installed and tightened, but right now I have the rudder off. Because that's the other thing is, actually I think I have it disconnected right now, but nope. Nav light works, which is also my transponder ADS-B. So that is all operational. Let me come around the other side here. I just kind of set the cowling on there just to get an idea of what we're going to look like, but it'll be a whole separate project because it's the cowling I have is for an old radiator system. Anyway, that'll take a lot of cutting and trimming of fiberglass, which I've never done before. What I was going to show over here is I got the trim working. So here's my nose up, nose down trim. Still have to finish wiring up the indicator. I thought I had it all done, but it didn't work. But if you can look back there toward the tail, let me zoom in just a bit, and I'll run the trim. So that's trim tab down, which should be nose up, right? Because it moves the elevator up, thus the nose up. And here's trim tab up, which would be nose down, right? Because it moves the elevator down, thus the nose down. And I'll put it back to about neutral here. So, I have both those hooked up to the main circuit, so flaps and electric trim are on the main circuit. And like I said, I'd taken the rudder off, because now that I finally have elevator cables, I'm gonna redo the elevator cables here, make sure my throws are all right on the elevator, and then I can button that up and then put the rudder back on, get those cables tensioned up, and flight controls will be complete. All right, the other big project, so we'll go from out to in. So here we are, wing, come in. I got fuel, feed, vent, wiring for the wingtip lights, wiring for the fuel flow, and then pitot and static. The pitot and static are disconnected at the moment, but then I also got the fuel lines through the fuselage, through that back into the back cabin, and same on the other side. So they come from the in through that into the back. And then I've just been messing around with 3D printing these little, standoffs. I'll eventually, put some zip ties on there, but just kind of combines them together. And then I've made some little brackets for the fuel filters to hold them in place, so they don't flop around. So pretty much I just have to put the actual fasteners, the Etiker things on this, and fuel system will be ready to go, which means we're about ready to fire up the engine. And in preparation for that, got all the engine stuff is ready to go. I just got to change the oil and fill up the radiator. And then I'll probably change out the gearbox oil too. And then we're ready to fire it up. Let's see, what else? Got the brake lines. I don't know if I'd had the brake lines put in. One kind of neat thing about clear brake lines, you can see where the bubbles are. So it makes it a little easier to bleed them. But anyway, I got those all hooked up. These are the passenger side, there's the pilot side over there. As you can tell, I have a lot of wire bundling to do before I can, complete a lot of this to get the instrument glare shield on. And you have to have that on to work on windshield and doors and cowling and all that stuff. So I've got the wiring like 99% done. It's just going to be bundling it all together. Anyway, thanks for watching. battery on. And the nav. We got red, white, green, and then white on the back. White on the back. And here's the exciting part. Strobe. Flashing. And sequenced up with that. Flashing.